Welcome back, McFly subscribers. Today we will be tying the Prince Nymph, a very effective general-purpose nymph that represents nothing, yet still catches fish. I will discuss this pattern later in the video, as I'm sure you want to get to tying this, but in case you haven't seen this channel before, this is McFly Angler.
Starts now.
Okay, let's get started tying. Place the hook and bead securely in your vise. For a hook, I'm using Resin's 9231 in size 14. These are long shank hooks, which are beneficial when adding beads. And the bead I'm using is Resin's brass bead in gold. The size is 2.8mm, which is perfect for this hook. We will also need some .015 size lead wire, and putting it in a bobbin holder I find is very helpful. Now, one thing I want to mention, since someone brought this up before, you can use lead-free wire if you want, or need to for a specific river system. However, it's not as soft and it's harder to work with. Plus, it's not as heavy, so keep that in mind. Okay, let's go ahead and add 5 wraps of lead to the hook shank. Then break it off and push it up into the bead cavity to stabilize the bead. For thread, I'm using Viva's 6/0 in red. The red will give a hot spot near the head. Now, if you don't want that, you can use a black thread. Start the thread right behind the lead wraps and snip or snap off the waste. Then bring the thread up through the lead wraps, and then all the way down to the start of the hook bend. Then make a couple wraps to make a small bump, and end your thread right behind that bump. Now we need some stripped goose biots in brown for the tail. Strip off 2 biots, and then cut off the frillies at the end. Then we need to reverse one of them so they are back to back, and align the tips. Now there's a curve to these, so positioning them back to back helps splay them outward. Measure out about a half a hook shank length, and then transfer that measurement to your other hand. And split the hook shank with the 2 biots. So one biot is on one side and the other is on the other side. Then make a pinch wrap and tighten it as you hold the biots in place. Check to see if you like the positioning, and make any adjustments that you might need. Then make a couple wraps back closer to that bump, and as you wrap closer to that bump, it will splay those biots out more. Okay, now we need some tinsel, and I'm using the UTC extra small size gold silver tinsel. It's the right diameter for this size fly, and a piece this long will tie 3 to 4 of these flies. Now you could also use wire here as well for a more durable fly, or a strand of flashabou instead of the spooled tinsel. Okay, let's tie this in on the side of the hook, so it extends up no further than the lead wraps. Then proceed to make touching wraps up the hook shank, stopping just shy of the lead wraps. Cut off the biot waste pieces and clean up that section with a couple wraps. Now we need some strung peacock herl. Select 3 strands from the hank. You could use more for a larger size fly or less for smaller. And it's always a good idea to snip off the fragile tips. Okay, bring your thread back just a touch, and then tie these in so the tips don't extend past the lead wraps. Tie this down all the way to the start of the biot tail, and then bring your thread back up to right behind the bead. Grab yourself some of these plunger style hackle pliers and grasp the butt ends. Make a few twists to cord up the herl, but don't twist too much on these first few wraps as you can break the herl off. Continue to wrap this up the hook shank, ensuring that each wrap is right up against the previous. With each wrap, twist the herl a few times, and this will give the fly a more bushy look, and make it slightly more durable. Now make sure there's a wrap of herl right behind that bead, and then capture the herl with a wrap over it, and then in front of it, and then over it once again. Now you can snip off the waste. And I'm not going to attempt to break it off like I have in the past videos. I learned this never seems to work for me on camera. Okay, now we will wrap the tinsel up the hook shank with open spiral wraps to form the ribbing on this fly. One thing I want to mention is, I probably should have counter wrapped this for the video. Conventional wisdom says that counter wrapping adds durability to the fragile peacock herl body, and I would tend to agree with that. However, I don't know how much durability is added with the tinsel rib. Okay, when you're happy with the look of this tinsel rib, then capture the tinsel and cut off the waste. Now we need a hackle feather. And I really like this whiting red label hen cape. The feathers are super long, allowing you to tie multiple of these flies with just one feather. But the fibers are still soft and webby, unlike a rooster feather. On saddles, the feathers are usually different sizes. You will want to check the hackle size to see if it's right for this fly, and I needed one from the upper middle of the cape. Okay, let's prep this feather for tie-in. First, strip off all the fuzzies and unusable fiber at the base of the feather, leaving just a bare stem. Next, grasp the tip of the feather and stroke the side fibers rearward, trying to get it even on both sides. Then cut off the tip of the feather, leaving a small tie-in tag. But don't let go, or it will be very difficult to get those side fibers swooped back and out of the way again. But if you do, you can use some English-style hackle pliers to grasp the tip and make stroking those fibers back much easier. Okay, so let's tie that tip in with a couple tight wraps. Then grab those hackle pliers and grasp the stem of the feather. Stroke back the fibers and make one wrap with the feather, and then capture the feather, trying not to trap many fibers in the process. You can see here I'm pulling the feather forward slightly, which helps with not trapping the fibers. Make one wrap in front and then over it once more before snipping off the feather stem. And as you can see, I did trap a couple fibers, but not too bad. Okay, now stroke the fibers downward, trying to get them off the top of the fly. If you have a few pesky fibers not wanting to go down, then you can snip them off. Pull those fibers downward and make a wrap or two to keep them down. And now let's make the wing case, and for that we will use white goose biots. Strip off the 2 biots and trim off the frillies. However, we're going to tie those in one at a time. Now you can see that the biot has a slight curve to it, and you will want to tie this in with the curve angling downward. Now I saw this way of tying the biots in a long time ago on the Tight Lines YouTube channel, and I do find that this is the easiest way. Place one biot down so the tip extends back to just shy of the start of the tail, and cant it out slightly. Put your thumb down on top to hold it in place, and then snip off the biot right behind the bead. This will cut the back part to the exact angle to rest up against that bead, and keep that angle while tying. Make a couple wraps over the biot to hold it down, and then do the same thing with the other biot, but angle it out slightly the other direction to form a V. Now you can adjust these slightly still at this point if you need, and that second biot there needs to come in slightly. Okay, there we go. That looks good to me. When happy with the positioning, make another very tight wrap or two, and then whip finish the fly. To cement the head, I really like this Solarez Ultra Thin. It has a handy paintbrush built into the cap for easy application. This stuff is perfect for this fly, because it will help keep that wing case from moving around. Paint a little on the whip finish, and make sure some covers over those biots slightly. Then paint more around the rest of the whip finish. Then when you shine your UV light onto it, it will cure hard instantly, holding everything into place, making a very secure and durable fly. Okay, well there we have it, the finished Prince Nymph. While these do not have a ton of materials to have to work through, they can be a little difficult, mainly because of those pesky biots. Biots are not easy to work with, but I hope this video gave you all some tips and pointers on how to make them more manageable. Once you get used to tying the biots, then this fly really isn't all that difficult to tie. This is probably one of the most effective and popular general purpose nymphs out there, especially when looking for an attractor. The white biots mixed with the red hotspot make this an eye catcher for the trout. Like many general purpose nymphs, these do not mimic any specific bug, but has elements that seem buggy. I guess with the biot tail and wing case, you could say it might mimic a stonefly nymph, but who is to say whether the trout see this as a stonefly or a mayfly? And I can even see how the trout might think it looks like a caddis, maybe. But no matter what it represents, there is no doubt on its effectiveness. For whatever reason, trout seem to really love this fly. Not just trout though. I have caught some warm water fish as well, including bass, sunfish, crappie, and even a couple catfish. I really like fishing these as a lead fly, since they tend to be more of an attractor. Then I will drop an unweighted, more natural looking fly off the back, usually something like a small midge or natural looking mayfly presentation. Now I didn't do this one perfect. That one biot is laying lower than the other, which throws off the symmetry of this fly. However, that is just for the fly tire, as fish will not care. In fact, nature isn't perfect, and sometimes fish will target injured bugs, as they are viewed as easier prey. So if yours don't come out perfect, then don't worry. These imperfect ones will still fish just fine. So just focus on proportions. But here is one with a better wing case, for your viewing purposes. Okay, well I am done with my general purpose nymph box. And yes, I do plan on filling up a few more spots with more of these Prince nymphs. But for the month of March here, I have been focused on filling this box with what I think are the best general purpose nymphs. Last week I tied the very simple and effective hare's ear. So make sure that you check out that video, and I will link to it at the end of this video. Now I'm going to move on to some stonefly dry flies for the month of April, starting next week with the very popular stimulator fly. Depending on where you live in the country, we are soon approaching stonefly hatches. So make sure you are subscribed and hit that bell notification so you don't miss any future videos. Oh, and by the way, I do sell these silicone-backed fly boxes on Amazon with free shipping. They are waterproof and super slim. In fact, they even fit in most shirt pockets for quick trips to the water. Or you can fit multiple in a chest pack, allowing you to organize each box by fly type, like this general-purpose Nymph box. Also, the silicone back is self-healing, so if you do accidentally poke it, it won't get all beat up looking like those foam back boxes. I will link to my Amazon storefront below in the description section of this video if you're interested. However, these are very popular, so I actually ran out. I only have 2 of the silicone boxes left in stock at the time of making this video. However, I still have the magnetic back boxes, which are great for dry flies and small midges. More silicone boxes are on the way though, so if they are sold out and you want to buy one, check back within a couple weeks and I should have them restocked. Also, don't forget to check out my sponsor Resin Fly. They made the hooks I use today, but they also make some of the best fly rods and reels for the money I have ever used. Best off, they're offering you all a discount. So if you're in the market for a new rod or a bunch of hooks or beads, go to www.risenfly.com and type in McFly at checkout and they'll give you 15% off of your first order with them. Well, thanks for watching everyone. If you like this video, please hit the like button. I will see you on next Thursday's video. Now you go catch some fish.